Started off with 8 teams, only 6 remain coming into the final day. It's Championship Sunday. Teams will have to go home, but there can only be one champion at the end of the road. My name is Proper. This is your After Action Report presented by Nelnet Bank. It's never fun to see teams have to go home from either perspective, whether you are a caster, a spectator, or a team. I'm sure of it, but we have to send some teams home. We're going to be starting off in the lower round matchups first, starting off with the Saints from St. Clair taking on the Fisher Falcons. On paper, if you don't know College COD, this should be a mismatch from the big names that represent the Falcons, but stylistically, this was a great match, and the first 2 maps would suggest that, and was as competitive as a 2-0 lead could possibly be. 248 to 248, Fortress Hardpoint, and a Round 11 Embassy Search and Destroy go in favor of Fisher. However, when we got to the Expo Control, the Falcons displayed their dominance with a 3-0 win in the Control, and thus the series, the Saints will place top 6. Off stream, the other lower round 1 match was being played between UONA Dragons and the Hilltoppers of St. Edwards. This time, however, the Hilltoppers gave the Dragons a run for their money, but unfortunately would place top 6 and lose the series 3-1, which means we would have our next matchup on stream in the lower semifinals, Fisher going up against University of North America. Last time they played in groups, it went to map 4, and barring the hardpoint being competitive, Fisher delivered the Dragons a swift 3-0 with a 6-2 win on the Mercado Search and Destroy and a 3-1 win on the Expo Control to punch their tickets into lower finals. Well, who would face them? Well, the loser of winners finals, naturally. Northwood versus Oklahoma Christian was slated to be on broadcast next. This was yet another 3-0 as history was seemingly doomed to repeat itself, as that's exactly what happened in the last matchup when they faced up against each other in our first broadcasted match. But this time, it was way more competitive, at least for the first 2 maps. Northwood were tested by both Frosty and Gus in the opening Fortress Hardpoint, but Dak and Bink were too much as Northwood won 250 to 210. The search was settled by mere moments and critical errors, however, went round 11 and Northwood would win it. When we got to the Hotel Control, Northwood was solidified as the better team. Didn't help when Ray only dropped 2 kills, but Northwood would be in grand finals after a 3-0 on Hotel and in the series. Though of course, it had to be a rematch that concluded day number 1 of Fisher versus Oklahoma Christian, went map 5 in the night prior, so surely it'll happen again. Well, spoiler, it did. OCU came out of the gates hot after their previous match and took the Hotel Hardpoint opening 250-228 from Gus finding kill after kill and streak after streak. Mercado Search and Destroy map 2 was uncharacteristically bad for Fisher as they just couldn't piece together a consistent response to the map manipulation that the Eagles had and would end 6-2 in the Eagles' favor. After a quick break, we were ready for the Expo Control, and Fisher would have to string together a reverse sweep in the series if they wanted their long-awaited dream matchup versus Northwood on LAN. And they did that with a speedrunning statement, winning it decisively 3-0. That would be a continuation on the Mercado Hardpoint map 4, where Fisher were undeniably running over every setup and rotation the Eagles attempted to put together, had a 100-point lead going into the second set of Hills, and by that point, it was just too far gone, and the Falcons would win map 4 250 to 142. Which brings us to yet another map 5 between the Eagles and the Falcons. It went down on El Asilo. Back and forth, it truly went. Fisher had an early lead, but when Cruz is double positive and the team is lagging behind, something had to change. And change it sure did. Gus's 1v3 clutch was the catalyst to come back truly happening, and although there was an insane moments on both sides, including Ramby's own 1v3, round 11 defense is where Oklahoma Christian would cement themselves as the better team. They'll take the win 6-5 on the map 5 and have a third date with Northwood on LAN. So surely it'd be different a third time when OCU goes up against Northwood, right? Well, it was not. Northwood were just simply the better team at the event and clipped the Eagles' wings a third time, but this time for the trophy. A dominant display in the Embassy Hardpoint 250 to 71, then a spiral out of control El Asilo Search and Destroy 6-1, capped off with an unfortunate team kill out of OCU after winning the opening offense in the Hotel Control. Northwood won that map number 331 in the only series required in a 3-0 fashion. So that was it. Northwood only lost 2 maps the entire weekend and will be the first team in CCL history to be back-to-back champions. Dak, Mock, and 2-time Infinite and MVP Bink are your 2023 CCL champions. Well, that'll do it, at least for this season. kind of almost blink and you miss it. If you wanted to at least go back and watch all the action, I'm sure that you can find it across all of our Twitter and some information regarding next season, as well as some potential summer fun. You can find us at twitter.com/collegecod, or just simply search at collegecod once you get to Twitter. Longing for a little bit more? Go to our Twitch page, and maybe you can go back to a couple VODs and rewatch all of the LAN experience. Twitch.tv/collegecod is where all the action will be going down. But who is going to be the contender for next season? Northwood is the first team to end up going back-to-back as far as CCL is concerned, but maybe there's going to be some new competitors, new faces. You'll have to remain in store for what is going to be on the other side of the summer break. It has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for all the teams, colleagues, staff, players alike for coming out and making the season one to remember, and it capped off with an absolute bang here in Columbus yet again. It's been an absolute pleasure calling all the action, giving you all of these reports at the end of weeks and days end here on LAN. My name's Proper. This is your final after action report for the 2023 season presented by Nelnet Bank.